How I use slow cattle. I've always kept slow steers in my roping pen. I've had steers that trot. I got steers that lope. These steers are priceless for beginners because when you're getting started, when you're learning the process and the proper techniques, it's important to go slow. So when you're working on each step individually, you want to create good habits and you want to create them slowly. So that way when you start to speed up, your techniques are correct. One of the things that I had learned when I went shooting with some of my military buddies, they took me up to Denton and I got to shoot with an air marshal for the FBI. And I was working on getting my concealed carry. And he taught me every single technique as correctly as it could be. It's fun now that I'm retired. I get to learn new things again and learning to do things that I don't know. And so I learned so much from him as he was showing me how each step to the time where I put my gun in between my stomach and my belt and how I pull my coat over the gun. So when I would grab my coat and pull it over the gun, he would show me exactly with my right hand where my thumb went behind the handle of the gun, where my index finger went, to how I pull it out of my holster and bring it to center line, and how I would correctly point it at the target to where every little inch of detail was correct. So then once I started getting the hang of it and had the technique correct, well then after that I could slowly start speeding it up a little bit more, and then speeding it up a little bit more, and then speeding up a little bit more. Then after a while when I did it full speed, it was just like second nature. It turned into a habit. And so when you're starting off roping, it's important to have some slow steers so you can start off slow. That way you can work on, when you leave the box, being able to bring your first swing up correctly, getting your first swing going, being able to get in your lane, rate your horse off in position, see where your swing's going, go over each step individually, and then when you're able to throw, pull your slack, dally, undally, pull your slack, dally, undally, creating good habits all the way to the back end. And you're able to think through each one of those steps. What I have seen so much is that when people start going too fast, too early, which I've seen a lot, then it seems like ropers, as soon as they nod, like the anxiety's built up in the box and they're nervous and they're not sure what they're about to do, because it's like once they nod, they just blank out because you're going too fast. You're going too fast too early. And if you do that too much, to me, it turns into a habit to, as soon as you go in the box, you start getting nervous. Well, then what do you think your horse is going to do? He's going to start getting nervous because he's feeling that energy that you're creating in your legs. And so I love having slow steers for that till you can learn how to do it and learn how to do it correctly. Another reason I have slow steers is it's really good for young horses. Kind of the same thing with training beginner ropers is a lot of the same steps that I take when I start young horses. When I'm in the box, letting them learn how to get comfortable in there, teaching them the correct leads, so then that way when I leave the box, I can kind of start walking, trotting, pick up the correct lead and the left lead as I ease them on up there to their lane, slow them down in their position, rope. I can either stop them, I can follow them back end, or I can help them log them across the pen. But same thing for them too, is it helps them learn how to do it slowly so they're not fractious or nervous. You know, they're able to help them in a slow pace as well until they get good enough and you can kind of keep speeding up. I've done this a lot too when I've been fixing horses. I've had a lot of horses in the past that I've bought in cheap. They had some good talent, but they didn't know what they were doing. Maybe they didn't score so good. Maybe their leads weren't very good. Maybe they didn't know where the steer was. They went too fast too early as well. And so I've gotten some horses that I've fixed before where I can repattern them on slower horses. Same thing. That way I can score them out. I can let them walk, trot, ease up in there in their left lead, let their mind slow down and let them teach them what their job is supposed to do, and go slow enough where they can comprehend it, where they can think through it. Rate off in position, be able to rope. I can stop, or I can turn them, or I can follow in the back end, whatever it is that I'm trying to help them learn how to do. I keep slow steers for times when I need to slow my good horses down. There's been times where when my horse, every time he leaves the back of that box and he's going as fast as he can, there's times that then they can almost get to going too fast too, where they're not comprehending what they're doing. And so it helps me, like at the end of a rodeo season, or if I'm going to jackpots too long and they need a little bit of a break, they need to kind of, decompress, as you'd say. I'll score them out, walk, trot, ease them up there to their left lane, get my swing going, and just let them kind of almost breathe through the run and kind of let them relax through it. and know that every time that we leave that corner of that box, we're not always just going to be getting gutted out or going as fast as we can. Let them kind of decompress a little bit so they can remember what their job is. And it's good to kind of let them have a day off or have some time off where it's just nice and easy and slow. It's good for their minds. Bringing horses back from an injury. I've had that a lot, to where when the horses get hurt and I'm bringing them back and we either got to walk or trot, shoot, I'll just do it out of the box. That way I can exercise my horse and get some loops in at the same time. And we're kind of helping them get legged up. They're still remembering what their job is. I can see my start, walk out, trot. If I just got to keep them in a trot, then we're up in that slow one that just trots, and I can just kind of trot all the way up there and keep them exercised, right in position, get a few loops in, and just follow them all the way to the back end and rehab them as I'm able to get some loops in. And when you go slow like that also, it helps a lot of your horses too stay in your hand a little bit better. It keeps them flatter because you're not always going full speed from the back of the box. You're able to nod, you're able to walk forward, then trot, then hit a lope or whatever it is you're wanting. That helps them keep them in your hand and keep them flat on the ground a lot better as well. And there's been times too where I've had to slow my own roping down, work on some of my techniques. Maybe my swing hasn't been doing very good. Maybe my delivery hasn't been doing very good. So I'll keep some nice slow steers so I can get up there to position, slow my horse down in position, and see where's my swing headed. Can I find where my swing's going over the top of the horns where I can see the scope through? Can I look through the scope right there and aim it at the target and be able to know where my swing's going before I pull the trigger? Sometimes slowing down to see that and working on, maybe I'm splitting horns, maybe I'm hitting the underneath the right horn. Whatever the technique error is, that's where you can slow it down and really get up underneath of it and see where everything's going and get your swing or your delivery back on track. Coming back from a long winter, a lot of people, especially up north, they may not get to rope all winter because of weather. Long layoffs, a break, surgeries. There's a lot of reasons where a guy could have a break from roping, and as you're just kind of getting back into the swing of things. I think it's great to go slow. Get the timing and rhythm and balance back. Get the feel of where your rope's going. Let your horses get legged up so you're not just going straight from a long break to full speed and you end up hurting them or getting bucked off. And so those little things like that, it helps get you back in the groove and start slow and able to build your roping back up correctly.